The CGI, it looks like video game cutscenes. If it was at 60 FPS, you would have thought we were playing a video game.
$7? Are you f***ing serious?
Everybody else, if you're a Marvel fan, I think you will.
Marvel fans will love this movie.
I think you'll appreciate. Oh, you think they're gonna love it?
They'll love it.
If you're optimistic about the future of DC, you'll definitely enjoy it. They definitely gassed it. This is coming from a DC fan. Tom Cruise, Stephen King, y'all need to be sued. The best comic book movie?
That's what I'm saying. When the f have we ever listened to Tom Cruise? Don't get me wrong, I like Tom Cruise. But what the fuck does Tom Cruise know about comic book movies? Like, oh my God.
But that's my problem with it. Cause like you go in and it's like, yo, I'm expecting my mind to be blown to the point where we left the theater and we was like, that's not the ending. We got to see The Flash. The Flash is one of the final installments that's left in the DCEU, leaving the Zack Snyder universe behind and ushering in the new James Gunn universe. The Flash, directed by Andy Muschietti, who also directed It Chapter 1 and 2, along with the movie Mama. The Flash follows Barry Allen in present day, played by Ezra Miller. The Flash is trying to figure out his footing within the Justice League, and one of the things that Barry is battling is trying to get his father out of prison. What sets things in motion is that the piece of evidence that Barry has that could potentially save his father is a fluke. And so he mistakenly goes back in time and he discovers his newfound ability. Bruce says, don't do it, Barry. Barry's like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. He saves his mother, but since he saves his mother, he creates an alternate universe where there are no longer any metahumans, but General Zod still comes back. So Barry is knocked into the past where General Zod exists, and he now has to team up with his younger self and look for Batman and Supergirl to fight General Zod. If you guys stick around to the end of the video, we'll address the elephant in the room. You guys know what elephant in the room we're talking about. But for right now, we're talking about the film itself.
If I'm being honest, from a writing standpoint, I didn't have an issue with it. If I'm being completely honest, felt like a James Gunn written movie.
So one thing about this movie is that there's a lot of jokes in it, but they also have a lot of emotional moments in there where the emotional moments still work. It's not heavy-handed like in the Taika Waititi Marvel stuff, but it's definitely there. You could tell where they're trying to get the audience. Like you could tell where DC is trying to get the Marvel audience over to the DC side. And for me, that was something that I kind of didn't like as we got a little bit further along into the movie, because it made me go, I like DC for a particular reason, and now they're trying to become Marvel a little bit. The biggest issue for me with this movie, and I don't know if it's because I'm also a filmmaker, so when I watch things, my brain is constantly turning. The CGI for this movie, I'm sorry, it wasn't good. And when we saw the original trailer, one of my things was that, like, I was aware that, like, it wasn't completed. It's a trailer. And so I'm like, okay, maybe by the time the movie comes out, the movie's gonna be good and the CGI is gonna be good. The CGI, it looks like video game cutscenes. If it was at 60 FPS, you would have thought we were playing a video game. There was moments inside the Speed Force. Every time he was inside the Speed Force, it threw me off. Now here's the reason why I gotta give the CG a pass. I don't think that there's any way to make this movie without the way that they did the CG. Because the Flash is a very difficult character to film, do VFX on, and I wanna say that's one of the biggest reasons why we don't have a Flash video game. The speed that was portrayed in this movie was really good. I think that with the way Quicksilver did it, it's always just gonna be a staple. And there was a moment in there where I was like, I hope they don't do Quicksilver. And it kind of felt like a Quicksilver moment. I wish they gave this movie a little bit more time to cook up in the VFX department.
I do agree with you. The CG was terrible. Hey, listen, 5 times better than the trailer.
Oh yeah.
But still bad. You feel me?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it was still bad. You know what I said? A lot of the CG probably gets messed up with the camera. Because I don't know if you noticed, but majority of the shots, the horizon was always like directly in the center of the screen. You feel me? I don't know if you noticed that. Like the scene where they're all running.
Yeah.
The horizon's always there. That's why I feel like majority always looks wonky.
On top of already having plasticky skin, like it was just everybody looked plastic. Then on top of that, you throw in like all that fake camera movement that we don't normally see because it's so clearly CG. If we're gonna talk about speed, it does that. You could feel it. Like that's dope. All of that stuff is dope. The cool thing about this movie is where the VFX did do really good was when Barry was talking to himself. Because normally when you do stuff like that, it looks a little bit wonky. When we talk about CG in that aspect, that was actually really dope because I couldn't tell the difference. And I thought it was cool that they differentiated it through the hair. Barry Allen goes into the past, I want to say at least 10 years, like at the Man of Steel time period.
Give or take, 2013.
Yeah, and so he's interacting with his younger self, and his younger self is a happier version of him. And so he's bare, like for me when I was watching the movie, he was fucking unbearable, bro.
I think that was the point.
Oh my goodness, like he was like ADHD, like he was the Flash before the Flash, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, like bro,
He asked himself, he's like, yo, I can see why people hate me.
Yeah, like and even Barry pointed it out, like his older self. And so I want to say that like when Barry meets his younger self, it's like a positive and a negative charge, which is funny because it's like electricity and shit. But it's like a positive and negative charge. Yeah, and I'm like processing that as we say that. It makes me think about us when we were younger, right? It's like if we saw younger versions of ourselves, like it's still us, but it's like we would be like, bro, calm the fuck down, please. It kind of makes you kind of want to look at yourself almost, at least when I was watching that. So even though it was annoying in a good way. He was just cracking a little bit too many jokes for me, which is where I think the Marvel stuff come into play.
Oh my God,
yeah,
bro.
it just would not stop.
I said it earlier. I said, bro, I think that's why I compared it to James Gunn. The dick jokes would not stop.
There was a lot of jokes. But the emotional beats were there though.
Oh, definitely.
They were there because anytime he was talking to his mom, I'll say even the Iris stuff, like
no, the third act.
Bro, we're gonna talk about acting. It's a shame because Ezra Miller did a freaking phenomenal job. Like
he's always been a great actor though. That's the thing. Always.
Like that. Like this was. Oh, I hate talking about it because, like, real talk, because it's like you did such a good job. That's really the only thing I could say about The Flash. Like, it was such a good job, and it's almost like you're playing two different characters. Also, just to be able to balance that, they nailed that, bro. Like that was that, especially the scene with the mom and the. Michael Keaton is in the film. For me, it doesn't have that much of an impact. I grew up on Christian Bale. So like for me, it's like, it's a cool nod. It's like, for me, it's like just another actor in a respectful way. For someone else, I think I don't know about you, but I think I'm the wrong person to talk about Michael Keaton's Batman because I don't have that attachment to him.
I ain't gonna hold you. We was in the theater and he came on screen, everybody started clapping. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, you feel me? But like really?
Yeah.
Like come
like,
on.
It's like,
y'all don't care that much.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm like, if you cared that much if you grew up with him. I grew up on Nolan. Seeing Keaton, it didn't really do anything for me. His introduction was cool. If Marvel had did what they did with Batman, they would have effed up his legacy. They would have effed that character all the way up. And I think that there was a nice balance of showing respect, but also showing age within that Batman. And so that's why I just feel like he was a really good actor.
Oh yeah, he was done well. Like he was done.
It was that's another thing about balance. This movie is well balanced, actually, now that I think about it. Michael Keaton does what he does. He doesn't take up too much screen time. He's not there for too long. He doesn't overstay his welcome. He doesn't do too much.
And you feel for the character too.
And you know he's happy to be back.
Yeah.
You know he's happy to be back. We got to talk about Supergirl.
I didn't care for Supergirl.
Okay.
If I'm being honest, we had people at the theater who was saying like, "Yo, they should keep her around." I didn't really care for her. She wasn't bad, but she didn't like feel me. Like she didn't lock it in for me. Like I would be okay with her just being a disposable multiverse Supergirl. Like
here's how I feel about it.
Oh boy.
Yeah. That suit was fucking fire. That suit, when she was walking out and it went from her traps, like her lower traps. Not like, you know how Superman has it at his shoulders. Yeah. Bro, that shit went like a little, I said, that is a design right there. That's how you do it. So when it came to the suit design, I'm like, yes. I like how she has like that edgy chick look to her. This is a Zack Snyder Supergirl. Mm-hmm. I want to say that the intensity that she had gets nulled because a lot of her is CGI. And so the emotions that, like, when she's actually her emotions come across. When she's angry, when she's doing the whole teeth thing, when she's screaming, that's there. But whenever it's CG, you lose that. And I think that's probably the biggest issue with Supergirl in this movie, the CGI. But other than that, I would say that if James Gunn is going to do a Supergirl, which he said he was going to do, like the whole stranded Supergirl arc and all of that stuff, if he's going to do that, I think she is the right Supergirl to do that. Just showing the bitterness and the anger, I think she has that. I miss Zack Snyder. And I don't mean this from like a place coming of hate. And videos in the past, literally within like the past 2 weeks, we made multiple videos where we say we kind of just got to let Zack Snyder go. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we are letting Zack Snyder go. But yo, you can't deny that this was Zack Snyder's universe. And so as I watch, there were moments where I'm just like, Snyder would have tackled this a little bit different. Even if this was somebody that was under Snyder's producing.
I was just about to say that I don't even need him as the director. He'd have just been a producer.
Yeah, and it's like, I'll say in the third act, or the end of the second act, where I'll say they tried to get their Quicksilver on. There's just certain music that was playing, and I'm just like, why would you do this right now? Like, we're in the middle, you know what I mean? And it was just like, I just feel like at that moment too, things were very dull. It was like just a flat surface, and it was just boring. And it was like the reason why is because everybody complained during Man of Steel. And like that was the moment where they could literally retcon it, where it's like, okay, we'll just go to the middle of nowhere. And this isn't a spoiler at all, by the way.
Zack Snyder didn't have his final battle in that. They literally met up there and then dipped. I don't get it, bro. Have you seen the destruction that Avengers caused?
Bro, it'd be worse. But yeah, I want to say, yeah, I miss Zack Snyder definitely watching this. And that's nothing against Andy Muschietti. I think he did a great job on direction. He definitely knows how to direct Batman action sequences. I was definitely in there whenever Batman was on screen. I was in it. I was in it 100%. So throughout the film, they find ways to nerf the Flash because the Flash could do anything. Like if you really think about it, he doesn't have kryptonite, right? They do certain things where it's like, okay, this guy's not just invincible. He can't just do whatever he wants because he has to think, like everything he does has an effect. And I think that this movie does a really good job with portraying that. If I'm gonna admit it, like this movie was just a fun ride. But once we got to that third act, that's when things started to just feel like it's falling in on itself. Like there's an antagonist in the film, but like it doesn't do a good job developing the antagonist, but you can understand where the antagonist is coming from. And it feels like we only had 5 minutes with this antagonist. Like we could understand their motivations, but it's also like, I wish we spent more time with them. I wish General Zod was a bigger threat.
Okay, agreed.
And that's where I think this film starts to fall on its face because it's like, this is General Zod. We didn't get to see Supergirl fight Fayor. And I think that's the biggest thing that was robbed. That is what you've taken from me. My Michael Shannon. That was my Michael Shannon.
That is what you have taken from me.
I enjoyed the third act. I'm not gonna say we should have got more Shannon. I'm not gonna say we should have got more Zod, but we definitely should have got more of opposing villain number 2.
Overall, my final thoughts on this film is that they definitely gassed it. This is coming from a DC fan. Tom Cruise, Stephen King, y'all need to be sued. That's how I feel, bro.
I wouldn't say it was gassed,
Bro, it was gassed.
It's the fact that
The best comic book movie?
that's what I'm saying. When the fuck have we ever listened to Tom Cruise? Don't get me wrong, I like Tom Cruise. What the fuck does Tom Cruise know about comic book movies? Like, oh my god.
Yo,
Like,
that's
for
facts
real,
though,
right?
that's facts though. But that's my problem with it. Cause like you go in and it's like, yo, I'm expecting my mind to be blown to the point where we left the theater and we was like, that's not the ending. It doesn't help that Across the Spider-Verse released literally like 2 weeks ago because that's another multiverse movie. And apparently they shared writers at one point. I am looking forward to the new DC stuff. There is clearly going to be a difference in tone. You know, we just gotta accept what Jay-Z said. Niggas want my old shit, buy my old albums. I guess we'll just watch the old Snyder stuff if that's the case, if we want that darkness. Ezra Miller. Now the elephant in the room. Ezra Miller's Flash got to get packed up. Ezra Miller's Flash was fire. I like the performance was great. Ezra Miller got to go. It's a little bit awkward being in the theater, knowing they do such a good job that you don't think about it. It isn't until you walk out and it's like, damn. Like in the middle of the movie, this is a completely different character. This is not Ezra Miller. You don't think about Ezra Miller's performance. Like that's not Ezra Miller when you're sitting there watching the movie. That is Barry Allen. And they do such a good job with the acting that's a good thing, right? It isn't until we left the theater and it's just like, yo, because of that, you can't play the Flash anymore. You've done too much. So they gotta let it slide. They gotta let things go for a little bit, let the movie make its money. Like honestly, you have to let the movie make its money for right now and then fire them. We want a brand new Flash for James Gunn-verse and you keep it pushing.
Nah, here's my thing though. Get him in the sequel. Introduce Wally, leave it off with a Wally, kill him off in the sequel.
Finally.
I'm gonna give it a 7.5, bro. It could have been an 8. But the CG and the ending.
I'll be honest with you, bro. I'm gonna give this movie a solid 7. If you're a Zack Snyder fan, you're not gonna like this movie. But I'm talking about like Snyderbot. I'll say if you're a Snyderbot, you're not gonna like this movie. I thought it was enjoyable, and I'm looking forward to what DC will offer us. I'm just hoping they don't do too much of the Marvel stuff.
I think the Snyderbots will like this movie.
I don't.
I think so.
I don't. Because there were moments where I sat there, me, who wants to be the most balanced person in the world, felt like Zack Snyder's universe was being done dirty.
But
yes.
Okay, I
yes.
guess.
Everybody else, if you're a Marvel fan, I think you will.
Marvel fans will love this movie.
I think you'll appreciate. Oh, you think they're gonna love it?
They'll love it.
All
They're
right.
gonna love it.
I'll say Marvel fans will appreciate it, and then if you're optimistic about the future of DC, you'll definitely enjoy it. If you like this video, make sure you click like, subscribe, because we will be dropping a spoiler review sometime at the end of the week, most likely Saturday. So go ahead, click the subscribe button, click that notification bell so you know exactly when that's coming out, and we'll see you in the next encounter.
Peace.